All right, and we're live. Welcome to American Hammers TV, everyone. Welcome from wherever you're at in the world tonight. This is another episode of Fixture Focus, where we talk to North American-based supporters of the clubs that West Ham are about to face. I have Dan from New York. Big shout out to Dan because this was all contacted Dan and Dave, the other person who runs New York Wolves with you today, actually this afternoon. And obviously with the quick midweek turnaround, it was always going to be tough to get someone, but really appreciate you coming on short notice, Dan. How are you?
No, I'm good, Justin. I'm good. Happy to be here. Happy to talk Wolves and some football.
Absolutely. So where are you from originally? Because I based on your accent, I don't think it's from New York.
Yeah, no, I'm born and raised Wolverhampton. Obviously, it's how where I'm from. There's my team. Moved over here about 4 years ago, and then set up the New York Wolves Supporters Club last season when we got back in the Premier League. Before then, it was a year of like watching whatever was put on, whatever highlights, whatever you could find. We didn't really have the supporters club together. But when we made it to the Premier League, we managed to, get a small group together, and we have up to like 40, 50 people meet up sometimes.
Wow, 40 to 50. I mean, I know New York is a big city, but that's a good sized amount.
Yeah, our owners are a Chinese company, Fosun, and they got a big building in the downtown Manhattan. And
okay.
At the start of the year, we did Faux Sunday for our game against Leicester. They got a TV outside, and we managed to get about 38 people there to watch the game.
Okay. Yeah, so using the corporate entity that is Fosun to spread the word. All right. Yeah, I mean, might as well use it if it's there. I mean, I feel like New York has like every company in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. So yeah, obviously guys came back in the Premier League last season, but even before you guys had the good season that you did, there was a general feeling that, you guys, due to the signings that you did make, not only before you guys made it back to the Premier League, but also stemming back from your last year in the Championship, there were a lot of pundits saying, this is no normal promoted team. This is a team that could potentially make some noise, and there were some higher expectations compared to your regular promoted team. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that you guys probably even surpassed those expectations last year, getting top 7, challenging, and eventually getting Europe. Just speak a little to that season. I'm interested to see, especially from someone that's been a fan of Wolves their entire life. What was that season like for you?
It was great. Honestly, it was nice to come up, and obviously, you follow them in the Championship, and I'm still watching the Premier League. And I really did think I didn't think we'd do as well as we did. I thought we were looking at, if we were lucky, I thought we'd get a top half finish before the start of the season in my wildest dreams. To do what we did was simply unbelievable. But it was nice to just come up and not have the immediate fear that you're relegation fodder to come straight back down. Because we've been up twice previously. We did one season, then we did, we were back down for a while, then we did 2 seasons up, and then we dropped to the Championship, and then straight away to League One after that.
Okay.
So, to actually come up and not think that you're going to be relegation fodder straight off the bat like we've been every other time we've come up, it was a nice feeling. And then to actually sneak in the back door of Europe through qualification is, I thought this was, if we got there, I thought it'd be 5-10 years down the road.
Really?
Yeah. Fosun have been ambitious. They want to take us places, but every ownership says they want to take a club places.
Right.
And not everyone can deliver. So for us to do it, it was a shock, but not too surprising for the fans that have been following the season before.
And when did Fosun take over? Like, how long has this ownership group been around?
I say it was the season before we got promoted, so it's been about 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, the first season I don't think they knew what they were doing. They brought, I think it was like 11, 12 players, of which I think one is still at the club. It was just kind of like a scatter shot, not really knowing. I mean, in my opinion, the big thing that's changed everything for us is getting Nuno. He's set a direction for the team, and as much as we have amazing players like Jimenez, Neves, Traore's, I mean, it speaks to Nuno. Traore was doing nothing last year, and this year he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet every week. So I think the players can come and go as long as we keep the manager, which with the Arsenal speculation has been a bit of a nervy week, but I think that's started to die off now. And I really can't. I could see him going for a big club one day, but I can't see him going for the way Arsenal are in the current climate.
Yeah, especially mid-season with the way they are, and then on top of that, you guys are in the middle of a season that could be another exciting one with you guys. I don't know if you qualified officially, but you guys seem to be qualified for the knockout stages of.
I'll be through. Yeah,
okay,
we had a draw on Thursday, Thanksgiving. Bit disappointing. We were 3-1 up, and they got back into it 3-3. But we needed a point to go to the next round. We got that point, so we're guaranteed into the knockout stages of the Europa.
And let's talk a little bit about this season. So first, I'm interested in hearing what your expectations were before the season started, given you guys are basically going to be fighting on two fronts in Europe and domestic. What were your ambitions for this upcoming campaign?
Before the season started, I said if we got to the group stages in the Europa and we're around mid-table at the end of the season, not in a relegation battle, I'd be happy. Obviously, you always want to improve, but Nuno likes a small squad, and just the sheer amount of games we played. I mean, we played 6 fixtures to qualify for the Europa before the Premier League had even kicked off. And that was after coming back from, we were in China before that for the, the pre-season there, where we won the Asia tournament, beating Sydney.
Oh, right. I think we were in that one.
But I mean, that's a lot of travel. And with our owners being Chinese, that was a chance for them to display their Wolves in China. So that was something where we weren't sending kids. We sent a first team to China, then they come back and they're flying to Armenia. And it's been a challenge. Like this week, for example, we played Europa on Thursday, drew with Sheffield United on Sunday. Now we got you on Wednesday, then we're playing Sunday again. That's 3 games in 6 days for us. So it is something that, we are finding challenging, and we've had a couple of injuries this season that we didn't really have last season. But I think we're 6th at the moment. So it's going more to plan than I expected it to. And to be honest, we haven't been playing that well. We've been eking out a lot of draws. We haven't been losing. But
8 draws already. 8 draws. And I read, you're the first team since Sunderland from the 14-15 season to have 8 draws in their first 14 matches. And I could tell from pretty much the first couple group stage games, just looking at the lineup, I would think, all right, Nuno may sprinkle in, a backup here, a backup there, which he does occasionally, but for the most part, it's been a small squad, like you mentioned. It's been the main guys really playing every game, both in Europe and domestically. But the fact that you're still, you only have 2 losses. That's less than Manchester City, Chelsea. Pretty much, I think only Leicester and Liverpool have 2 or less with you guys. So you guys aren't. You guys are still grinding out results.
It's some games it's frustrating when we go up and then we let them back into it. But then other games where they go up and we get it back. Like we scored a late goal against Crystal Palace to get a draw there. Yeah. Sheffield United, after they went up, we weren't even on the field. I think we were asleep. They scored inside 2 minutes. And then, they're a difficult team. When they get a lead, as we've seen this year, they're a very difficult team to break down. Oh, yeah. So to go down the other end and manage to get at least a draw out of it, it's showing both positives and negatives. But I'm trying to look at it in more of a positive light because of how many years as a fan it's just been so bad. But it is just such an improvement that we're not giving up. We can go a goal down and we still know we can get back into games.
And has it simply just been the investment in the club overall that has caused this sort of cataclysmic shift in the club's fortune? I mean, I know you also mentioned Nuno as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, plenty of clubs get, good managers, managers even with more experienced, with more experience and more experience in winning than Nuno. Like for example, Manuel Pellegrini with us. Surely it maybe goes a little bit beyond that, or is it just simply the fact that Nuno came in, he had a system, he got the backing from the chairman, or I don't know exactly if there's one owner or not. Is that really what's been going on?
I think that's a big part of it. I also think that the new ownership has got a new attitude that I've never seen at Wolves before. They want to make us into a serious club. We've obviously got a lot of history, but for the last 20 so years, we haven't really done anything. Maybe even more. But you can probably go more and say like right back to the early 70s, mid 70s were the last time we were decent.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. But now, just from my perspective, I run the New York Supporters Club. They've got a whole worldwide Wolves branches coming out now. They've got a special lounge bar at the stadium for international traveling fans. Like they really are. They're not just growing the club, like in terms of the team, but their social media presence and everything. I know this is a lot of other clubs are ahead of us in the game, but it's actually, they're trying to be a more complete club. And I think that's just kind of spilling over. The fans are reacting well to it. And it's helping kind of spur it along. And look, you probably heard, we've got links with Jordi Mendes, which has definitely helped us in the recruitment.
That's the Portuguese agent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've definitely been helped out massively by his connection to the club in terms of managing to get Ruben Neves to come and play for a championship club.
Yeah.
But I think Nuno's the big drive and the attitude from Fosun. And all the players seem to really have bought into that. And I'll give you an example. We signed Johnny, our left back, Johnny Otto, on loan from Atletico Madrid. And he almost, I think it was a few months into being there, he's like, yeah, I'm planning to go back to Madrid. Like, this is just a loan. And then he got in the Spain squad because he was playing week in, week out in the Premier League. And then by January, he'd signed a 4-year, I think 3 or 4 year deal to stay at Wolves.
Wow.
And so to me, that kind of shows that there is something there in the club that players who openly don't really want to buy into it end up buying into it and, wanting to stay. So I think it's definitely from top to bottom. We're taking a lot more positive steps than we have been for a long time.
Yeah. Going back to your first point about like when you mentioned the suite inside the stadium for the international fans, what I essentially was hearing you say was they're not only building the club, but they're building a brand.
Yeah.
A global brand. And even that made me think when I was searching today for Wolves supporters groups, the interface on the website of like where the supporters groups are, how many members there are, and who are the contacts. It was just so organized, and like the graphics were pretty cool as well. I was like, wow, this is really easy to find people, really easy to find people's contact information.
It's been really nice because obviously New York's a big tourist city. So every week we'll have random tourists who are just sending us emails or going on the Facebook group and being like, I'm in New York for the weekend and wanted to watch the Wolves. And they're like, it's so easy to find you guys, like where we meet, the pub, the Joneswood Foundry, listed on the website, our email address on the website. And we just, we can easily get people to come. And we some weeks there's more tourist supporters than locals turn up to the game. So it's, it's fun to, nice to catch up with people from back home as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, it was just so easy I reached out to like a handful of supporters groups, but it was just like extremely easy. And it's something where I was saying to myself, man, I wish West Ham had something like this, because their interface on their site, it's not updated. It's a little clunky. They certainly don't have the graphics and the information that Wolves do. So yeah, no, that was really cool to see. I also want to ask you a little bit about the stadium, the Molineux. First of all, one of like my favorite named stadiums. I think it's a really is that named after someone or is it
No, I actually don't know exactly where they're at. It's been called Molineux. We've been there 100 years. I think they celebrate. No, I stand corrected. I think they had 130 years of being at the same stadium,
wow.
or at least the same site of the ground. Like the stadium's changed, but
Yeah, of course.
so yeah, it's been there a long time, and it's nice because it is one of the few. The stadiums in the centres of the cities are getting less and less and less because land expensive, things are getting pushed out. But as far as I know, Fosun don't plan to move anytime soon. I think they're planning to redo parts of the stadium in 2020. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it goes smoothly. Last time we rebuilt one of our stands, the North Bank, we were relegated the season after. So let's just hope it goes a lot better this time.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a fortress for you guys. And every time I watch a match when Wolves are at home, the crowd noise is a bit louder. It's a little bit deafening. And it just seems like it's the cameras, the TV cameras don't do it justice. It's a massive, massive stadium.
Oh yeah, it's not anywhere near the London Stadium. I think we're at about 35, 36. On a good day, we filled in some of the corners, but we get a very good atmosphere there. It gets very, very loud, and I think it can be quite an intimidating place to come. And coming from somebody, I don't go to that many games. I'm not home as much back in Wolverhampton, but when I was going 4 or 5 years ago when we were in League One or the Championship, people were giving away tickets. And now, you haven't even got them for your mother. Like it's getting harder to get tickets. And I think, it's a good thing. It's disappointing for fans that struggle to get tickets, obviously. But to see that kind of backing, to know that the stadium's going to be almost full week in, week out, it just brings a little bit extra to the team. I think we took 6,000 away to Braga in Portugal on Thursday. Everyone trying to get in a European fixture before hopefully we go all the way to Gdansk. But if we don't, trying to get in a fixture before that goes out. So yeah, I mean, we've got a great support base, and I really do think it helps a lot. I mean, just from social media, the amount of times you see like Ruben Neves in the local shopping centre or the local supermarket or something. Like people are out and about in the towns and the communities, and they're getting their photos taken. And I think the players, seem to have bought into Wolverhampton and what's going on there.
Before we get into the actual upcoming fixture, I asked you earlier about the expectations that you had before the season started, and you mentioned making the group stage and getting mid-table, having a relatively a season free of worries of relegation. Yeah. As of now, you've surpassed that. Not only have you made the group stage, but you're through to the knockout stages. You guys are sixth in the table. Only just checking the fixture or the table now. You're level with Spurs for fifth. Just you're down by 1 goal and goal difference. So, based on those expectations that you had so far, I know it's only December, but so far you've exceeded them. So let me ask you the same question. What are your expectations as of now?
I mean, it's a cliche, a bit of a cop-out when you say, let's see come January after you get through this busy fixtures. One of our best defenders, Willy Bolly's out with a serious injury, should be back by January. If we can get through December and the Christmas period and still be there and thereabouts, I would like to think. I mean, we could dream of a quarter-final, semi-final in the Europa League, and then maybe challenging to get to the Europa without having to go through qualification. That would, to me, would be an amazing season. I mean, I'd love to sit here and be like, yeah, we'll win the Europa, we'll get top 4. But I've also I like to be realistic. And I thought with both the competitions, we'd be struggling in one or both of them. For us to have done so well and come through the difficult group stage, I want to raise my expectations, but I don't want to get too carried away. So I'd be happy with getting through at least one, maybe 2 rounds of the knockouts in the Europa, and then just staying in the hunt for 6th place in the Premier League. And if we can do better than that, let's see what we can do. I mean, who knows? We might even start signing people again in January.
Yeah, I just laugh because, West Ham need a few more players. And we've already essentially been told there's no money in January. And, it's just it's a situation where I'm envious of you in that respect. But moving on to the fixtures. So we play on Wednesday, I believe. There's some games tomorrow and even a couple on Thursday, I just found out. But we play Wednesday at the Molineux. Last year, you guys beat us 3-0, I believe. Who got a brace for you guys? I think it was Raul Jimenez got a brace for you guys.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe he did. It was a shambolic performance from West Ham. I also think, not taking anything away from Wolves, it was, just a thorough work by you guys as well. So before I get into the fixture, though, I find these like little stats on, regarding the fixture that I like to spit out.
All right.
So Wolves have won both. They beat us both times in the league last year. 1-0 at home. 1-0 at home for us. Like I said, 3-0.
I know that was a 92nd minute Traore goal.
It might have even been later than that. Yeah.
That's what I thought. We were all really hopeful for him last season. Then he just didn't really do anything else. And then God knows what he did over the summer, because he's a completely different player this season.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk about him because he's a big worry for me. But so yeah, you guys beat us both times last year. You guys have never beaten us in 3 consecutive league games before, Premier League or otherwise. West Ham have won just one of their last 7 away league games against Wolves. Last win coming against the Wolves in 2009. So it's been a while. If you guys do not lose on Wednesday, you will be unbeaten in 10 league games. 10 top flight league games, which would be the first time that you guys have ever done that since 1972. So it's been a while. I mentioned that stat about you guys drawing 8 times in 14 matches. Doesn't happen a lot. Let's see if there are any more interesting stats. No, that's not interesting. All right, yeah, interesting stuff. So history would suggest that that Wolves don't win tomorrow on Wednesday, but the one thing we know, history tends to repeat itself sometimes, but not in the world of soccer, that's for sure, especially when you have Wolves in the last few years with the investment, and it's essentially a changed club now. So zoning in on the fixture, why don't you give the people a little idea, if they're not familiar with how the squad is usually set up? How are you guys set up? How you guys look to play?
Well, as we talked about earlier, we have a small squad. Nuno doesn't like to change a lot. Apart from in the back 3, we didn't make a change from our game on Thursday in Braga. So you're probably looking at a front 3 of Jota on the left, Jimenez in the middle, Traore on the right. The partnership of Neves and Moutinho has been pretty consistent in the midfield. Again, we've got 4 really good wing backs that we kind of rotate a little bit, but I imagine you're going to see Doherty on the right after his goal, and then probably Johnny on the left, with potentially Ruben Vinagre coming on a bit later. The back 3 is the where there might be a bit of a change. Cody's pretty much nailed in. I think he's played every minute of every game except against when we fielded like an under-20 team against Aston Villa in the League Cup. On the right-hand side of the back 3, you'll probably have Dendoncker. He's been there. He's He's been playing midfield for us, but since we have a bunch of injuries at the back, he's been dropping in there. And then on the left-hand side, on the weekend, we saw Kilman. He's an English futsal player, the like smaller ball kind of thing that we've been slowly converting into a defender over the last, I think we've had him 2 years now. He started at the weekend, but you might, if Bennett's not injured, you might see Bennett, or you might see the return of Roman Saiss, Moroccan centre-back, who missed the last game on a yellow card ban. So the back three is probably the only place you're going to see a change. But then again, you never know with Nuno. He does, he sticks with everything, then you'll just see a completely different team every now and again. But I imagine it's going to be fairly consistent with what the team you see on that played on Thursday and Saturday.
Gotcha. And what type of football do you guys play? Like, is it very free flowing and expansive? Is it some other type of style? What?
It's pretty free flowing. We like the counter attack. Obviously, if you followed us last season, we beat all the top six. Liverpool in the FA Cup, not the league, but then we managed to beat every other single one of the teams that finished above us in the league. We drew with Man City. We didn't beat them last season. So we like it when teams come at us. But we have been working on, and I've definitely seen an improvement of breaking teams down. Because last season we play a team like, no disrespect, but like a Brighton or, like a Burnley. And those games we would look all out to sort. Like we couldn't work out how to break a team down that sticks, has a solid defensive line. We like it when teams want to attack us, and then we counter attack. But we have been doing better. And a large part of that, honestly, has been Traore, in the fact that he somehow seems to be able to beat two, three players you put in front of him. He'll just somehow skip past them at least 2 or 3 times a game. And then once we can get the ball in the box, we can see where we go from there. I expect us to be fairly. We looked against Sheffield United for the first 10 minutes. Our back three were out of sorts, and then they settled down and managed to kind of quiet them down for the rest of the game. And I expect a lot of the play to come through Neves or Moutinho. Honestly, we were talking about players earlier. Of all the players we signed, £5 million for Moutinho is just the most unbelievable steal, because he's not only an amazing player, he's such a leader on the field, especially with the young Portuguese lads around him, that he's a huge difference maker for us, and you really notice it when he's not in the team. And it's just upsetting he's 32, so I don't know how much longer. We just signed him to 2 more years, but, how much longer can you play at the top level? But he's really something special.
Yeah, that is getting on the older side of things. Before we continue on the fixtures, Neil, one of our, I don't think I've ever done an episode of American Hammers TV content. I don't even know if you can you see the comments, Dan?
No.
You can't? Okay.
Oh, live comments. There you go. I'll click.
Yeah. So Neil gave us a little rundown of why the Molyneux is named the Molyneux.
There you go.
Name originates from Benjamin Molyneux, a successful local merchant who in 1744 purchased land on which he built Molyneux House, and on which the stadium would eventually be built. The estate was purchased in 1860 by O.E. McGregor, converted the land into a pleasure park open to the public. I've never heard that term before. The grounds were sold to Northampton Brewery in 1889, who rented its use to Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Oh, there you go.
The game was stayed.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah. And then Wolves bought the freehold in 1923 for £5,607. What a steal. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it. Probably number one fan of American Hammers TV. I don't think I've ever done an episode without Neil in the live comments. And as you can see from his name, he's from Australia too. So no matter the time of day or night, he's usually on. But so focusing now to West Ham. Obviously, we're coming off of a really much needed victory and a surprising one at that. A 1-0 victory at Stamford Bridge, a place that we actually hadn't won in the league since 2002. So it had been a while. And on top of that, we just came in with such poor form. We hadn't won in 7 matches, and I think out of those 7, we only drew 1. We were giving up goals left and right. We were getting out physicaled, outplayed, no passion, no energy, no confidence. And then we just come out and get that result. Now, from a Wolves perspective, how much do you know about the team? Is there anyone or any sort of tactics from the team that you're at least nervous about or sort of interested in knowing more about?
Well, I mean, I've been a bit shocked at the Hammers' performance, to be honest, because I've always rated very highly Manuel Pellegrini. He really is a really fantastic manager, and I think your biggest problem has probably been Fabianski's injury, because Roberto looked like a shower of shit, to be quite honest. I mean, he's stealing a living. If he's getting paid a Premier League backup goalkeeper's wage, he's stealing a living for that money.
Oh yeah.
I've had a few bad injuries. I'm a big fan of Felipe Anderson. I think he's a phenomenal player. He just doesn't seem to have quite been able to turn it on this year as much as last season. Last season, he looked really good. Mm-hmm. And I think looking at your back four, they're not as familiar. I mean, there's you see like I haven't really seen much of Zabaleta this season.
He's lost his. Ryan Fredericks starts mainly. I mean, Zabaleta has started a couple games, but Ryan Fredericks usually starts at right back now. Yeah,
and not so much of like Aaron Questwell, but you got some you got Declan Rice in the midfield. What's his name? The English striker.
The English striker.
Oh, black lad.
Sebastian Haller?
No. Mikel Antonio.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, he did striker for us this past match, although he's definitely not, He was
scoring a few goals last season. He didn't seem to have quite turned it on. I think if...
He was hurt. He's been hurt since beginning of September. He just came back.
I think, if you, I think it would have. I don't want to say an easy win. I think we'd have beaten you had you not get this win against Chelsea. I'm expecting to see a different West Ham team that's been playing all season. I think you're going to gain a lot of confidence. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in my opinion, Pellegrini's got to back that goalkeeper. The lad who got his first ever start for you, who's crying in the stands afterwards.
David Martin.
David Martin, that's his name. Yeah, you've got to back him, in my opinion. You can't put Roberto back in after a guy keeps
Oh, no.
So it's if you can keep that bounce of confidence. I'd like to think Wolves have still got a chance, but I'd be honest, I think this game's probably got a draw written all over it. We'll be tired and probably happy to take a point. And you guys... given your form, you'll take points. I think you'll go looking for the win, but you're also away from home, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you make some good points there at the end. We are away from home. Coming into the season, our away form was actually pretty decent, and then it's faded. Although you can say our home form had faded too. I mean, 1 point from 7 matches, your form just has gone to shit no matter where you play.
How much do you think that's due to the stadium move? Because it seems to have really kind of coincided with the stadium move.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say personally, I believe that the stadium move had a lot to do with our first season's performance. You can make the argument for the second season at the stadium too, although I think when you start stating that reasoning, you're starting to get into excuses.
Yeah.
But the first season, without a doubt, a lot of it had to do with the way it was handled by the owners. The owners definitely embellished some things that they said were going to be there that really weren't what they said they were going to be. It's not a football ground. It's just not. And I mean, if you're sitting in the upper tier, it's very easy to sort of find that you're at a soccer game without any atmosphere, which is a shame. At times, that place can get rocking, but also, on the flip side, it can get pretty flat and dull. But at the end of the day, It's all about how West Ham is performing. If they're performing poorly, the atmosphere is going to be poor, and I think that's at any stadium. So now when we shift to this is year number 4 in the stadium. No more excuses about that. If any West Ham fan tells you that the reason for this poor performance is the stadium, they're full of shit.
Yeah. You can only use it so long, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's, I wish we didn't move, but we did. It's over, done with. We're not going back. Upton Park is literally no more. So I just think it's a lot of people wanted Pellegrini out. I was still holding on to hope that he could maybe turn it around, and maybe after this result, he can. But it was the manager had sort of a tactical inflexibility to him. He still plays the same formation, albeit he did make some changes for the Chelsea match in terms of putting players, like he put Anderson in a number 10 role. He's been playing as a winger. He switched out Haller for Antonio up top, which I thought was actually a brilliant move. But he's also made some changes that you just question, like he put in Zabaleta at right back to cover St. Maximin on Newcastle, who is a very speedy left winger. And Zabaleta, as much as we love the guy, he has no legs.
Yeah.
You put in Ryan Fredericks there at right back, who does have pace. He's better suited to. So there was just very, tactically questionable calls that the manager made. And he wasn't making the changes that the fans thought he should make. Like, for example, putting Roberto in for, it seemed like an eternity. It was at least 4 or 5 games. But I mean, so to your point about the confidence that we may have as a club, I think it's probably the worst time to play West Ham, just given, confidence can make or break a team. We're playing with none, and now we have as much confidence as there could be. And, Chelsea has been a very good side this season. And so
they gave us a 5-2 hammering at home, biggest loss we had under Nuno. It wasn't a 5-2 game, but they converted all their chances and took advantage of us trying to counter attack. No, I even thought when they lost, I think was it 4-0, 4-1 to Man United at the start, first game of the season?
West Ham?
Chelsea. Like it wasn't
it was 4-0.
Yeah, it wasn't a 4-0 game though. Like
it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't, but sometimes, that scoreline, you look up and it's like, shit, 4-0, that can really hit your confidence. Similarly to like a 1-0 win at the Bridge. But yeah, I think it's the worst time to play West Ham, and I do agree with you. And let's now, just because we're approaching 40 minutes anyway, so let's get into the predictions. You mentioned a draw. What is your specific prediction for the match?
I think I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'd like to see us get a win, but I can see we'll be tired. You guys have got the confidence. I see it's got a 2-2 draw written all over it.
Yeah. So the first few times I did this Fixture Focus show, I actually had spot-on scores as my guest. And it hasn't been so in a while. But I guess we're getting back to it, because I also think it's going to be 2-2. I think, I think you guys are, you spoke a bit about it earlier. You guys can be that free-flowing, expansive team at times, and you guys can score goals. Raul Jimenez, I think he has 6 goals so far. He's a very good goal scorer. You guys have some other pieces around there as well. I don't see us keeping a second clean sheet in a row, especially away from home. But I also expect us to utilize the newfound confidence that we have gathered from that victory over the weekend, and sort of funnel that energy into some goals ourselves. So I do think it'll be a really entertaining game, actually, but I think it'll be a fairly even game, especially given the fact that you guys are going to be a bit more exhausted than us. I could see us drawing the game in the 70th or 80th minute, maybe when your energy levels are a little lower than ours. But I think it will be a very good game. I'm certainly excited to see it. And yeah, I agree with you. 2-2.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get off work early and watch it.
Yeah, same here. Same here. It's a little bit tougher Central Time because it's just that much during the day, you know. But we'll see. I believe it's 2:30 Eastern.
Yeah, 2:30 or 2:45, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dan, we'll wrap it up here. Thanks again, man, for coming on such short notice. Would love to do the reverse fixture with you as well. Would love to do this show next year with you. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and yeah, hopefully West Ham can actually get the 3 points and we skip that draw. But like I said, I do think it'll be a draw. But thanks, man. Really appreciate the time.
No problem, Justin. Best of bad luck to you tomorrow.